Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jules, and for those of you that are new, I have lost 50 pounds with the help of a GLP-1, and I have been maintaining that loss now for over 2 years. So today I'm going to talk to you about something that's very deeply personal to me, and that is how I got jacked in my 50s. Yes, jacked. For the first time in my life, I'm ripped. I have muscles that show, and that is crazy because I'm 54 years old. I have 4 kids. 3 of them are adults in their 20s. My 4th is almost 12 years old. And I have been through a lot of stuff in my life, including divorce, a blended family, a new marriage, which has been amazing. But as you all know, you go through different life events and things get really stressful. So how did I get here? Well, let's rewind a bit. Let's look at my past. So I have always been an athlete my entire life, meaning I was a competitive gymnast when I was younger, and I competed until I was about 18. And then after that, I went to college, and I always worked out, but it was never it was never competitive like that again. I did learn to lift weights in college, and I would run occasionally, and I always did something. Even, after I had my kids in my 20s, and I always went to the gym, and I was always active, but I could never really manage my weight struggles, and I always had food noise. I always had a huge appetite. My weight fluctuated. I'm only 5'1", and I've been maintaining now at about 113 pounds for 2 years. But prior to this, my weight had gone up to, when I was pregnant with my twins, it was in the 190s. And when I wasn't pregnant, I had reached as high as the 170s. When I started my journey, I was somewhere in the 160s, and I say somewhere because I would not weigh myself when I started my journey. I was terrified of the scale and didn't want to get on it until I had dropped around 10 pounds. So I really didn't start weighing myself until I was in like the low to mid 150s, but I know I started out much higher. So you could see my weight was all over the place despite all the activity that I was getting. And I did always try to eat healthy. I was always a vegetable eater, and I always ate protein, and I did all the things. But I could never get to the point where all the things I was doing actually showed on my body until enter Ozempic. Back in 2022, I started on Ozempic, went to Wegovy, went to compounding tirzepatide, then to Mounjaro, and now to Zepbound. So yeah, I've been on all of them that are out there. And that is what really moved the needle, is being able to lose the weight, decrease the body fat, and it also made me want to move more. It made me want to work out more. It made me more excited to work out because I started to see results, but also I started having more energy. I was always a pretty energetic person, but I would get those mid-afternoon lulls where I would just get zonked and get really tired. And that no longer happened. I was pretty, steady Eddie in terms of my energy levels. And I was even more energetic in the mornings. So I was able to be more consistent with my workouts. And as my body fat started to decrease and I started to actually see muscles, that became even more motivating. And by taking a GLP-1, it really helped to quiet that food noise, and it helped to regulate my crazy unending appetite and actually give me satiety. Because before this, I was always hungry, and I would never really get full. I remember asking, my lean husband, who to me could eat anything and stays lean. And yes, he's very active too, but we all know that a lot of us do a lot of activity and we still gain weight. But he's able to maintain his weight and he stays lean. And I said to him, do you get full? Like, do you have like a trigger or something that where all of a sudden like you're like, oh, I'm done? He's like, yeah. And I said, that never happened to me until I went on a GLP-1. And then I knew what that feeling was. It was like a light switch that just went off. And I'm like, I'm full. I don't want any more food. That never happened to me before. And that was part of the reason why I could not drop the body weight, which also then made me realize that it wasn't my fault. I was trying to take responsibility for my health. I was trying to use willpower, but it wasn't working. And once I got on the GLP-1 and I was able to shut out the noise and the cravings, and I no longer was like binging on food. There was times when I was hungry and I didn't know what I wanted to eat. And I'd go into the cupboard and I would be like, all right, I think I want peanut butter or this or whatever it was. And I would eat it thinking that it was going to satisfy me. And then it didn't. And then I'd move on to another food, knowing that it wasn't healthy, but it was almost like I couldn't help myself. And I don't have that anymore. I mean, that's the miracle part. Yeah, the weight loss is freaking amazing, and we love that part of it, and that's kind of our goal or side effect, to lose the weight. But not having that food noise anymore, not having that thing in your head that's just driving you to continue to eat or just to be hungry. It's so miserable when you're just always hungry all the time and you're trying to block it out and you're trying to do all these things to like push it aside, but it's still like a little gremlin that's just there for you. And then you get on a GLP-1 and all of a sudden it's quiet. You're like, oh, well, now what can I do? Well, I can work out. So that's what I do. The other reason why I like to work out, and I've heard this from people as well, some people get really depressed when they go on a GLP-1 because I think a big part of that is they get so much satisfaction and pleasure and dopamine hit from eating. And when that's taken away and they're not getting pleasure from the food anymore because they're just not interested, then they need to find something else that interests them, that makes them happy and gives them that dopamine hit. And that's something that if that happens to you, you need to try and find something, whether it's music or working out or reading or, whatever it is. I pet my dogs. I mean, that also gives me a dopamine hit, but working out gives me that mental space and clarity. And in that moment, I just feel better. I've never gone to a workout and said, oh, I wish I didn't work out. Like, I always feel better. And then the results will be there. The main thing, and this is how I think I got ripped, is consistency. I have been extremely consistent with working out. Just like you're consistent with going to work, or you're consistent at how you're parenting your children, or you consistently clean your house, or whatever it is you do consistently, you have to make working out as important. It is as important because it really is. It's part of your life, part of being healthy, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And I make that a huge central part of my life that is very, very important for all three aspects. And I do my pull-ups and I do my strength training and I do my walking with my weighted vest, and I do that almost every day. So my schedule is I walk every single day with a weighted vest, and I do strength training or lifting 5 days a week. Am I always 5 days a week? Pretty much I am. There may be some days where I'm 4 days, but that's only if I'm getting crazy with work or I get really tired and I just need a break. But I am really consistent 5 days a week. Now, each session could be 20 minutes and it could be an hour, and maybe if there's a day or two, it could be an hour and a half if I have the time to spend. But I actually find myself spending a little bit less time working out now than I did in the beginning, because once you have a base and you start working out and building muscle and building strength, you don't have to actually work out as much to be able to maintain. Where I am right now, I'm perfectly happy maintaining my size. I'm not looking necessarily for muscle growth, but I am looking to get stronger. So as an example, with my dumbbells, I have dumbbells that range from 5 pound increments from 5 pounds all the way up to 40. And there was a time that I could barely bench press 35 pounds, but I was able to finally do it. And then about a year or so ago, I ordered 40-pound dumbbells. And that was so hard, but I was able to do it. And now I just ordered 45-pound dumbbells because those 40s, I'm like, they're kind of easy now and I need a challenge. So you want to be able to keep progressing by progressive overload, which means you're going to either increase the weight or the volume or something to keep the signal going on the muscle. That is the most important, is to keep that signal to the muscle so that you're telling your muscle to continue to build, and make sure, of course, you're getting in the right amount of protein, because if you're working out like crazy, but you're insufficient on your protein, you're really not getting enough, you're not gonna build it. And the same holds true with your sleep. If you're eating enough protein and you're really working out in the gym or at home, but your sleep is crap, you're gonna have a tough time getting stronger, recovering, and building and growing your muscle. One of the most favorite exercises that I do, and I do core every day, 10 minutes in the morning, I knock that out, and then I hop on the treadmill after that. And I think that's really helped me to get my six-pack, to have visible abs. And what I do with my core workouts, I'm gonna start putting those out so that you guys can do the core workouts that I do. And if you want to get ripped, you can. And I don't care if you're 40, 50, or 60 years old. If you want to get ripped, you can. Because you just need to decrease your body fat and you need to increase your muscle. And you're going to have visible abs just like me. I am not special. I have never had this in my entire life, despite being a competitive gymnast when I was younger. I also competed again when I was older, between 36 and 42. But again, my weight was always all over the place before that and after that. But I never had visible muscles. And it is crazy how the GLP-1 can contribute and actually help with the protein muscle synthesis, meaning it actually helps to create more muscle for you. It helps with calorie partitioning, meaning when you consume the good calories and the protein and the fiber and all the good stuff, it's gonna go more towards your muscle than it is gonna go towards your body fats. So one of the things I do with my workouts is I make them enjoyable, because back in the day, I used to work out to lose weight. It is kind of negative. So I don't do that anymore. I don't work out to lose weight. I eat nutritiously to maintain my weight, but I work out more for my mental well-being, and I know it's good for me physically, but it's not necessarily to lose weight. That's just not happening. We've been down that road before. Many of us have tried that, and we know it doesn't work. So I shifted my mindset and I said, I'm gonna work out because it makes me feel good and it makes me look good, but it is not necessarily to lose weight on the scale. So that was the mental shift I made. And to make my workouts enjoyable, I will listen to a YouTube podcast, or I'll listen to music. I'll do something that kind of stimulates my brain while I'm working out. Also, what I do is I log all my workouts, because I want to see what I'm doing and how I'm progressing and how much I'm doing, to make sure I'm hitting the body parts that I want to hit, and the reps and the sets, and that I am progressing in terms of being able to continue to stimulate the right muscles to continue the growth. Let's talk about sleep. I mentioned it earlier. It is so important. I didn't realize when I was younger how important sleep was. I really had no idea. And it's only really been in the last couple of years, to be honest, that I realized that sleep is integral. I think we innately know it is, but we sort of like push it off to the side. But once I made it important and I started being really consistent, that's when I really started to see the muscle growth, as well as my energy just being very stable throughout the day. So what I do with my sleep now is I am very consistent with my sleep pattern. I wind down at night, and I have a certain schedule where, after dinner, I will hop into a hot shower, and then I'll come down, I'll have a hot cup of tea, and I just try to make it a very relaxing environment for that last hour, hour and a half. And then I make sure that I go to bed between 9 and 9:30 at night. If it's earlier, great, that's fine. But I am in bed between 9 and 9:30, and my husband is as well. He usually falls asleep on the couch before me anyway. And he's always up at 4 in the morning. Every day, whether he's got work or not, he's up at 4 in the morning. I set my alarm for 5 in the morning, and I have been getting up very consistently at 5. But I actually find myself now, my body's been waking up usually around 4:45 without my alarm. So I know that my body now has adjusted, and I've been doing this for almost a year at this point, this new schedule, because I used to be a night owl, and I worked my way back into going to bed between 9 and 9:30 and then waking up around this 5 o'clock time frame. But again, now my body is just waking up all by itself at about 4:45 in the morning, and I'm not groggy anymore. I'm just ready to go, which has never happened before. So if you're in your 40s or your 50s or your 60s and you're looking to get jacked, it is not too late. You absolutely can do it. The biggest thing it takes is consistency. Consistency with the nutrition that you put in and consistency with your workouts. Use tools to help you get there. And if that includes medication, then use them. There's nothing wrong with that. We should not be stigmatized or shamed if we need the help of a GLP-1, any sort of medication. If you need blood pressure medication, take it. Nobody is shaming you or blaming you. So it holds true with the same for a GLP-1. If you need it, take it. It's helped me out tremendously to restore my metabolic dysfunction, give me all of my good blood panel numbers back again, where they should be. And it's helped me, I think, in developing better muscle tone and strength and growth. And look at working out as a privilege. It really is. It is not a punishment. It is a privilege to move our bodies. And we want to be able to move our bodies until we're very old. We're gonna want to be able to bend down, or if we're on the floor playing with kids when we're older, we're gonna wanna be able to spring up and not have to have someone help us get off the floor or get out of a chair or put a suitcase, in the top bin in the airplane. I wanna be able to do that by myself. I never wanna have to have help doing any of those things. And being ripped, that's a huge bonus, but it is pretty cool. So again, if your desire is to get ripped, then it's never too late. It is always possible. I'm telling you that because I never thought it was. And if I can do it, I am telling you that it is possible and you can do it too. So don't limit your beliefs in yourself. Know that it's possible and go after it. And I hope that you liked this video and found it helpful. And if you did, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel so you always know when the next video is coming out on fitness tips, weight loss tips, GLP-1, any sort of health tips that I have out there that I want to share with you and share with a friend. Leave me a comment as well. I'd like to know, where are you in your fitness journey? Are you looking to get ripped? And I will see you in my next video. Stay strong.